The fabled races, the fans at the roadside, the ever-present media. These have been constant features of cycling. But a glance at the history of the sport reveals an ever-changing flux of teams.
The teams have been trying for a long time to figure a way of coming together and being a stronger unit and collaborating as a group in a better way.
Graham Bartlett is the CEO of Velon, a collaboration of 11 World Tour teams trying to improve their position in the sport.
You can't do a lot of the things that they want to do. Change the economic model, create greater stability, bring new technology to the race. All the developments everybody wants to see really can only come from the teams if they form together and do it as a joint body. That's what this is really all about. If you look at the current situation for the teams, that they are 100% sponsor funded, it's a very fragile model. If you don't change that, if you don't make that more stable, then you run the risk that every year you'll lose a team. Every year that somebody else will have to recycle the riders into another team, possibly, if they choose to take them. Doesn't always happen that way. And the fans are left with a sport which is here today, gone tomorrow.
Nowhere was that difficult predicament felt more keenly than at Belkin last year. The retraction of their lead sponsor left the team and all of their staff with an uncertain future, until they were saved by the Dutch lottery. Cannondale and Garmin Sharp 2 were struck by funding issues, forcing them to merge into Team Cannondale-Garmin.
The problem in the model is that it's unbalanced and it's not connected. The teams have got to derive all their revenue from sponsorship, which makes them behave in a certain way. Because a race organiser looks at it and says, of course your riders and your team should promote my race and bring onboard cameras or tracking devices or whatever we want to bring to make the product more exciting. Of course you should do that. But the team's position, well, I'm not very incentivised, am I? I'm incentivised to turn up and show my sponsorship on the TV, because that's where I'm getting my money from. But I'm not incentivised to do anything else. You've got to break down those barriers and do that in a better way. And simple examples like such as what we did with the Giro d'Italia and RCS recently, using the footage together, sharing it, promoting it, doing it in different ways, adding value to that broadcast product. It's a small example and it's a little step, but it's a step in the right direction.
It's not only race organisers that Velon are working with to improve the sport. Cycling's governing body, the UCI, also plays an integral role.
We want to help the UCI, and the UCI want to help us, because the UCI want the sport to be clean and credible. They want stability for the teams. They want new technology into the races. The UCI is a little bit limited because they're not the race organiser, and they're not the team, and they're not a rider. So they can create the framework around the sport to help people to go in the right direction, but they cannot force it themselves. They need to give the opportunity to the other stakeholders to make it happen. And they've been good at that. If you take examples on the technology, everything we've asked on technology in terms of permissions and derogations and rules and so on, UCI have worked really hard to help that happen.
In recent years, many sports like American football, cricket and golf have all introduced high-tech analysis into broadcast coverage to make the sport more immersive for the viewing audience. And Velon are making a step in this direction by introducing the regular use of onboard cameras. This has been at the forefront of their plans to create a unique insight for the viewer.
Show the difference, show the graphics, show the race from a different perspective. We're doing little things like this. We shot Sasha Modoro's amazing sprint finish in stage 17 of the Giro d'Italia. We shot that from the bike. One of the giant Alpecin riders, Luca, he shot it. He was trying to beat him actually, of course he was racing for the line himself. Lampre's great victory. Sasha was a brilliant sprint finish, a wonderful piece of footage.
The romanticism of cycling is steeped in its history, none more so than in Belgium, where it's woven into the country's fabric. But for professional cycling to grow, it needs to appeal to a global audience.
If I stop somebody in the side of the road in Belgium and said, you know about XYZ race, they'll tell you who won it for the last 15 years. That's because Belgium's such a heartblood of the sport. We need to inculcate that kind of passion and excitement and interest in other areas, whether it's the US or the UK or the Far East, that brings them and sweeps them up with the same kind of passion. And to do that, you've got to give the fans something different. If we serve up the same thing that we've always done, we'll have a very difficult time growing that fan base.
Velon see the explosion in social media as a perfect platform to bring the sport to more fans.
You've got a different dynamic now than you've maybe had in the past, and that's why the teams really believe that this is the moment now. Form the company, do the right things, get the right collaboration going, get out there and make a difference and make a change and make cycling better.